Welcome to the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 show to bring you all things Club America in English. Your hosts for today, Ivan Pineda, Christian Rosendo, and everyone's favorite cowboy, Dylan Jimenez. Let's start the show.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Eagle Eye Podcast. Today we have quite the jam-packed episode. We're going to be recapping that terrible loss to Monterrey in the Estadio Azteca. We're going to be previewing the upcoming match against Atlético San Luis and plenty of transfer rumors along the way. Quite the episode today. But before I go any further, let me introduce, as always, my co-host, New York's favorite resident, Christian Rosendo, Brooklyn's very own AJ, and everyone's favorite cowboy, Dylan Jimenez. Gentlemen, how are we?
Doing good today, Ivan. Thank you. Oh, AJ jumped the gun here. What's up, man? What's up with that?
What's up,
man?
It's chronological order, my friend. Chronological order.
But we're doing good, though. I hope everyone else is doing well. Everyone's staying safe, wearing their mask. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting episode. Definitely a lot of things to cover, so I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, definitely a lot to talk about in regards to that Monterrey match. Not just the result itself, but a lot of things happened in that game in which we have to talk about in regards to the rest of the season for Las Águilas del América. But AJ, you jumped the gun a little bit, but how is life over there in Brooklyn?
Life's going well over here, Ivan. Thank you for asking. Just getting myself ready for college because class starts tomorrow for me. So I guess it's a good way to start things off with the podcast before jumping right into college.
Definitely getting yourself ready. And our very beloved own cowboy, how's life over there in Texas right now? I know it's hot.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little hotter. Right now we're in the mid-90s, but we're probably going to see triple digits here pretty soon. But drinking plenty of water, and obviously I'm drinking a Powerade for now.
All right,
good.
Well,
good.
Today's episode is brought to you by Powerade. I see that Cowboy Dan has officially partnered up with them and recharging his electrolytes. Good to see that we're finally moving up in the world there.
Oh man, I don't know if that's a sponsorship, but you can say whatever you want. I'm not confirming that.
Neither is he denying it, ladies and gentlemen. Neither is he denying it. Well, we've done roll call now. Gentlemen, let's get straight into this one because I know that's what people came here. They came for the analysis. They came to hear us get mad and upset over the game because rightfully so, America let not just the fans down, but I think a lot of people who were watching this game thinking that America had more to offer in regards to this matchup against Rayados. So let's get into this one. Christian, the result ends up being 3-1. Could have ended up being much, much worse. Take on it after the final whistle.
Fuera Piojo?
Hashtag Fuera Piojo. Now, you did talk to me about this a little bit on the side, and we did kind of joke around about this, but how, we've had about, 3 days to process the loss. And I think it's good because if we would have just jumped on right after the episode, I think we would have definitely have lost our heads even more so than what we've already thought about. But are you sitting here now analyzing everything that just happened with that Monterrey game, looking at what happened in the Querétaro game and just games prior to this? Are you on board with this hashtag Fuera Piojo? Do you think it's time to let go of the Mexican manager and start looking elsewhere?
No, I was just joking because if the coach wants to take it as a joke and the players want to take it as a joke, then why shouldn't we take it as a joke? Saturday night was just a complete embarrassment for everyone, fans, players, coaches, staff, everybody involved in the America community. Complete embarrassment. There's no way a team like America should go out there at their home field and play like without a purpose, without heart, without determination. That's not America. That's not how we're meant to play. We're meant to go out there and give our all for 90 minutes. But literally, I saw none of that from nobody on anybody. No one on that team saved ourselves from Saturday night. Nobody.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. I think no player is able to hide under a rock in this situation. I think we were a bit lenient in the Querétaro game and thought, well, maybe it's a one-off thing. But then having the situation happen again at home in the Estadio Azteca, it worries me. It worries me very, very much. So, AJ, how did you come away with this? I know you were one of the more heated persons on not just on Twitter, but on our group chat as well, so quite the emotion roller coaster that you had on Saturday. But tell me, how have you processed all of this going forward? And now being as objective as you can be, sitting down here, tell me exactly what you think of this America loss.
This America loss was really hard to just take in. Like, after the Querétaro loss, like, we let in so far, it's been 7 goals in just 2 games. Just, like, witnessing this team play against Monterrey was just a complete disaster. Like, I'm not understanding, like, what was going on with this team. Like, I was confident enough to think, like, we could pull off with the win, but just seeing, like, how Christian mentioned, no one was just playing with, like, their the full 100%. It seemed like they just wanted to get this game, like, done and over with as soon as the first goal fell through for Monterrey. So it's just really disappointing. I'm just really confused to, like, what's happening with this team. We've so far have 6 games into the season, and just, like, seeing this loss, I felt like it just impacted everyone on the team, not only just, like, for Piojo and for the players, but I feel like it's for every America fan.
Yeah, no, I think you put it in a very good perspective. Now, Dylan, you were rightfully upset last week whenever the America players, as you quote, were dragging ass on the pitch. Now, do you still concur to that conclusion today? Do you think that America did indeed drag ass again on Saturday?
Yeah, I kind of think they did a little bit, but also you can feel how the game definitely shifted, especially after Bruno Valdez's injury. You bring on Aguilera. I just don't even know what to say about that. Now you're just kind of stuck in this crisis mode where, you're just kind of short on center back depth. I mean, I'm just lost at words for this game that happened. I just really am. I just didn't see no effort anywhere from nobody, and I think I'm just going to stop there.
Well, let's stop there and let's start at the beginning, because I think that's the proper way of going about it. I think we're just kind of jumping into this, and while people are watching the highlights, I think it's a good place to start at exactly where you mentioned. It was that Bruno Valdez injury that kind of just shifted momentum for America, and I think just the team kind of turned off. I think it's those little minutes that in which the game isn't being played. Some of the America players just have a tendency to switch off and just kind of never really find their rhythm back into the game. I think America and Monterrey were going at it for a little bit, and then, before the injury, I think America looked well. I think America could have grown on what they were doing. But again, this injury happens, and then all of a sudden, it seems that, it goes from bad to worse as Aguilera comes in, commits a penalty, and then, of course, it goes all downhill from there. There wasn't really much of a reaction from America, and then, you get the second goal scored on, and then, you think he can push one back after Aguilera, converts the penalty, but then just minutes later, you get, you just concede again. So, Christian, tell me what went wrong for America. Why is it that these players have a tendency to shut down in moments like this? And I'm not even mentioning the Roger red card at that point. So, what's going on with this lack of consistency?
It's kind of hard to tell, and most of the blame I think I put on the coach, but definitely the players are at fault too. It's the players' job to kind of go out there and give it their all, whether the team's losing or not. When whatever circumstance given to you throughout the match, it's the player that needs to go out there and kind of just finish the job. Now, while I guess players tried to, the coach didn't do much help with whatever was said at halftime or whatever formation he planted out at minute 1. Everything for me, and I think I spoke about it on Twitter for any of you that follow me. I think Piojo set us up for failure from minute 1. I told you and I told everybody how I don't like this formation about putting Cordova on the wing and then Henry being up top. It just doesn't work for us anymore. It didn't work for us last season. It's not going to work for us this season again. So when you're at a moment of need and when you have players at your disposal, you go back to a formation that doesn't work, it's just going to lead to failure. And, from there on, I thought that America could grow on in the first 10 minutes, like you said. But even then, though, after the Bruno Valdez injury, we just depleted once again. And there was just no turning back from that.
Yeah, and kind of like what you're saying, Ivan. That's something I was going to mention, but I'm just more upset with the fact you played, I guess you could say in a sense about 10%, 8% of the match, fairly well, but then an injury happens, you can't cope with it. I think that's the upsetting part about all of this is just seeing the team not being able to give a statement, to give an answer whenever they're in the face of adversity. They just kind of let it take over and realize there's nothing to be done. I feel like some of this does fall on Piojo because he wasn't obviously able to motivate the team after that injury, and the team just got lackadaisical too much, and when there was no need for it to be lackadaisical. So I think that's just the most upsetting part. But you are correct, about the beginning of the game where the team, did show some good signs. It seemed like this was going to be a good game, and then the injury happened, obviously.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you mentioned, in the face of adversity, before other America teams under Piojo were able to rattle that and kind of, put that on their shoulder and say, okay, we're going to push forward and we're going to fight. And I think we mentioned it. I was talking to you, AJ, while the game was going on, that, after the Roger Martinez red card, you said that America has a tendency to rile back up and to play even better with 10 men. But then the situation happens, and I think we talked about it too last week whenever Richard Sanchez gets the red card. It's that now this America side is just lacklustrous no matter what the situation is. As if there is no injuries, if there is no red cards, we can see the best of America. But if something goes wrong, things turn south for America. What do you think just things have gone wrong, AJ?
It seems like, as you mentioned with before, Ivan, like when we lost Richard Sanchez to the red card, we lost all creativity in the midfield, where it seemed like no one can just connect the pass or just make any kind of play in order to create a goal scoring opportunity. Now, when Bruno Vaz got himself injured, it felt like there was no defensive presence in the box at all, and it was just really hoping that the Monterrey players didn't get so close into our area and try to score a goal. So I felt like if a player is out or injured, it feels like as if the entire team is going away with that person. So it's just really tough to just see when Bruno just got that unfortunate injury. At that point, it's just like it was a recipe for disaster. Maybe it was just foreshadowing what the game was going to be like, especially with the Aguilera substitution. We could see the penalty. Like, it was one goal, but then it felt like nothing was going to go in anything in our favor at that point. So it just seemed like with no Bruno Valdez, there's just no defensive presence allowed, meaning we're just going to give our opponents a lot of shots at goal, or we're just going to concede a bunch of goals. You're playing with 10 men. There's not really much you can do, especially if you're only playing with 3 defenders in the back.
Yeah, no, it's very difficult, very, very difficult at that point. But it's just you want answers, right? At that point in this stage, we knew how important America had to get all points that they could, especially at home, right? With such a tough end to the season, now you feel like you've lost 11 points, right? 2 points away at Necaxa, and then 3 points at Querétaro, and now 3 points at home against Monterrey. So now you're looking at yourself and you're like, well, now you've definitely gotten yourself in quite the deep hole, because at this point you should have been 6 for 6, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's what we all thought that America was capable of doing. That's what we all thought Piojo was going to be able to kind of instill on these players, and we thought these players were going to be able to be good enough to get the job done out there. So, go ahead.
I just think what adds insult to injury to it, just if I'm not mistaken, there was a stat where Monterrey have only won, I think, a game like in the last 15 times. So just to see them get themselves another win just added insult to injury. Like, it was just really hurting. It's like, how can America side like this? For the most part, we had our, I would say, one of the best starting 11s possible that we displayed against Monterrey. But then I just felt like for us to just lose that team, I was just struggling to find any kind of consistency since last season. It just really hurts. I'm just wondering, our America are just starting to, maybe it's too early for me to start, or they're just starting to just lose hope into the season, especially with this Bruno Valdez injury. So it's just really demoralizing, just hearing a stat line like that and just America just to lose, especially at home at the return to the Azteca.
I don't think it's so much the fact that America loses, Christian. I think it's the way that America loses that I think has people riled up. It's one thing to go into a match, play your hardest, and have the other opposition just, outscore you just because of whatever reason, right? If that's the situation, then we're sitting here and talking and having a different conversation, and we're not necessarily saying #Fuera Piojo in the more serious tone, but more in kind of a joke tone. But now we're here and we're sitting and we're talking about, is the manager the right one for America going forward? Are these players good enough to be wearing an America jersey? And how realistic are our chances going forward into the season? But America doesn't give us the liberty to be like, okay, so it was a tough match. America lost, things should have been better here and there. But no, we have to sit here and we have to talk about the fact that America showed no heart. America showed no class. America showed nothing on the pitch. We had, like Christian, like Dylan mentioned, 10 minutes in where we looked like we could make something promising throughout the game. And then again, adversity comes knocking at the door and we just hide and run away from it. I mean, just Enlighten me. Tell me something.
You summed it up right there. I don't know. It's just I think you watch after those first 10 minutes. I think it's all telling. I mean, I don't know.
But here's my thing. And we're going back into this. You know, we came into this one just as spectacle as the Rayados people, right? We go back, listen to that podcast. We weren't as, we weren't that hopeful that America was going to go out there and play the best of game possible. But in the back of our minds, we were saying, okay, Piojo, this is the chance for you to kind of, take that Querétaro away game and then just kind of put it behind you and move forward with the rest of the season. Because now you're looking at the rest of the calendar and you're thinking to yourself, well, you got some really good, favorable games, but you need momentum. And it shouldn't start with San Luis. It should have started a long time ago. Should have started with that Necaxa game and continued on to the way that they played against Santos and so on and so forth. It's just, I'm looking at this, and yes, I put a lot of blame on Piojo, but I'm starting to look at some of these players as well. Christian, you mentioned that no one out there on that pitch deserves any credit for any good stuff that they did, because everyone just looked like they had their heads down. And sure, you're running, you're covering the pitch, but because at that point you're down a man because you're chasing the ball because the rival has more possession than you. Mm-hmm. But just tell me this: how much do we have to put on the players?
Well, like, here's the thing. Now, we talked about America's transfer policy and how maybe this is the right approach. Trying to buy, cheaper, younger superstar talents that can go into something, go to Europe. The only problem with that is, though, if you fill your lineup with that, is lack of experience, lack of leadership. And I think that's exactly what we saw on Saturday. You had out there Viñas, you had Santi Cáceres, you had Emilio Sanchez out there, all players with basically no experience at all, no leadership at all. And maybe the task was too tall for them. Your more experienced players, Paul Aguilar, Roger Martinez, Henry Martin, players who've been in America for a while now, who knows what it takes to win. They didn't show up for the team. Now that's more concerning to me, because those are the players that you're supposed to, rely on and, make the difference. Your team's down, your team's not playing well. Okay, be the man, pick up your team, say something, and let's get it going. But no, I saw none of that from nobody. And it's disheartening, especially when, your so-called captain, Bruno Valdez, goes down. I think that should rattle you up a little bit. No, you're like, damn, our captain just went down. Let's go. Let's pick it up now. Let's win the game for him. And we did the complete opposite. We completely deflated, and that's just that it can't go on anymore.
I think you put it perfectly. I think you summed it up in the best way. It's just no one had the audacity to pick up the ball and say, look, I don't care if I have to put the team on my shoulders, but I will carry you guys and get us through this, right? I mentioned that Cordoba needed to have that type of game. Didn't see him have that type of game. Yeah, he played out on the wing, and maybe that does kind of hinder some of his talents, but I still want him to showcase. I feel like he knows that there's eyes on him, European eyes on him specifically. So I think if you're a European team and you're thinking, well, this kid can only play in the center mid and he's not versatile enough to either want to play out on the wing or play a little bit deeper in the midfield, then why am I going to be looking at him, right? Didn't see enough of there. Roger, I don't even know what to say. I think the less I say of him, the better, because at this point, it's ridiculous. Paulo Aguilar, I don't even know if he should be wearing an America jersey going forward. I mean,
yeah, that third goal was a complete disgrace. Disgrace.
It's horrendous. I don't even know if he even wants to be out on the pitch anymore. That's just how it looks like for me at that point. Walking around, just never really tracking back, out of position. No, At that point, at that age, you play smart. You say, okay, I know what I have to be position wise. This guy's faster than me. I should take a little more steps back. I know exactly where but you don't see that from Paulo Aguilar. You don't see that. You just see kind of a bit of laziness towards his game. And he's just kind of like, well, I mean, they'll deal with it. If he gets past me, they'll deal with it.
But I'm sorry to cut you off, Ivan, but I think this is something I kind of just say all the time. I think Piojo needs to realize and adjust to the game. He sees that his defense is leaving a lot of gaps. I think this is why I called for Santi and also to kind of play together, because they can kind of fill in the gaps whenever there was gaps needed to be filled. Aguilera, we know there's a lot of gaps, and then when you have him on the same side as Paulo Aguilar, it just creates madness for us. It's complete disarray, complete disorganized backline that we have. And I think we could have probably maybe softened the blow if we had both Santi and Oso there. I don't know what you guys think about that.
What I'm honestly thinking, I remember when America won the title back in 2013, we played 5 in the back. We had Layun, Topo Valenzuela, Massa Rodriguez, Aquivado Mosquera, and Paulo Aguilar. That defense was solid enough to not allow so many goals in. I know we only have Paulo Aguilar there left, but I'm thinking, you think 5 in the back could possibly work in at least trying to strengthen this America team? I feel like in midfield and strikers, I feel like we're fine. This is defense is just where the gap lies, like where the true problem is. So I feel like maybe we can go 5 in the back that could maybe solve some of the problems. I know there's not many players that we have on our squad that can maybe fill in the role, but I feel like that could maybe just be the safe bet, a 5-3-2 perhaps.
And interesting that you bring that up. I know other people have. Shout out to Brian from our good friend over on Twitter. He's mentioned that he wants to see a 5-3-2. But it's something that I brought up as well at the beginning of this kind of season. Whenever we did kind of our our season preview, Christian, is I mentioned that we don't have the players to play out on the wide, so let's play central. And I joked around with you and I said let's kind of go back to that AC Milan. That 2005 AC Milan playing style in which you had 5 players at the back. Of course, it's three center backs and then 2 full backs, two full wing backs. Excuse me, and then you just kind of get creative in the midfield. And some people have a tendency they could go wide or stay more central, whatever the case may be. But now thinking about it and hearing about it, I think it's just AJ has a point here. It should be something that we should go forward with, don't you think?
The only problem I have with that is we don't have the players for it. Okay, so you have Aguilera, Sebastian Cáceres, and then this rumored center back. Okay, that's fine. You start playing with it, you start doing fine. What if one of them goes down? We don't have another defender to come in and fill in that gap. That's going to hurt us even more because then we're going to have to adjust again to another formation, and then by then it might be too late.
I think it's exactly what Dylan was alluding to, is the fact that we're very, very limited to kind of the depth that we have at center back. Dylan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the only real true option America has off the bench at this point is Juarez, no?
Yeah, I mean that really is it. Besides which I know we'll talk about later, but obviously with Fuentes, potentially coming back, but it just kind of goes back to show too, how vital Ortega was to staying. But it's just kind of interesting to see how this will play forward with all the rumors circulating right now, especially how Piojo is going to come out this coming Saturday, I believe. But that's just kind of my concern too. I mean, once somebody goes down, then what are you going to do next?
It's even more painful.
Go ahead, AJ. Go ahead.
My bad.
No, go ahead, AJ. No.
It's just as well, like as you mentioned, Dylan, like Jairo Ortega was also another option along with Ramon Juarez. The problem is we just loaned out Toluca, and I don't think he's even played a single game yet for Toluca. So I'm just wondering, why are America either selling or loaning out key players into our squads to just other teams? And then when we then get a player injured in that specific position, then we're just wondering, who do we have? We're just like, no one else. I mean, I guess if it's me trying to be positive, I guess look into the Fuerza Básicas, look into our youth. But then the other problem there is they don't have experience on the first team. So it's like, do we really want to risk it and just having to just put one of the youngsters there who has no experience on the first team? It's like, here, you're going to start. We're wishing you the best. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work because we have no one else left. So we're just hoping that you can just cover that position. So
yeah, no, I think at this point, America shot himself in the foot.
Yeah, and then I kind of feel like this is something we could kind of go more in depth about once we ever get to those transfer rumors, especially with this potentially of getting Franco and Fuentes too. What something can look like going forward.
Yeah, no, and we'll get to that, and I think we'll just kind of wrap up this kind of Monterrey game. In kind of the one thing that a lot of people just want to hear is what are we doing here with the whole Piojo situation? Like, Dylan, again, time week in and week out, and I shouldn't be asking this question that often, but is it time to press that panic button?
I mean, I feel like if you do press that panic button, then I think the Fuera Piojo is going to get more serious, even though it's kind of just a little bit of a joke at the moment. And I still kind of bring up the question: who do you bring in? Like in all seriousness, like who do you bring in besides Ruben Omar? But I just kind of raise that question. I mean, I feel like you kind of get ready to press it, but at the same time, I just know that's how it's going to be. You want Piojo out. People are going to want Piojo's head, and I still ask, who do you bring in? Then I just feel like we're just going to recycle a manager at this point.
Yeah, no, and look, I'm on board with the tough criticism that Piojo should be receiving at this point, because he definitely should be. But like you mentioned, Dylan, you don't necessarily press that button because you don't necessarily have someone viable to come in. I know, you go on Twitter, you see all these people, they're saying all these foreign managers, this and that. But look, the problem is you bring in a manager midway through the season and that doesn't know the institution, that doesn't know what America is, that doesn't know what America means, right? You can know who America is, but if you don't understand what this institution means, what expectations are going to be expected from you, not just by the board, but by the fans, then you don't necessarily come in and do the most perfect job. Now, granted, I could be wrong. Some foreign manager could come in and change the whole perspective of America, and we can go unbeaten from that point on. But I just don't see it happening. That's, the more likely case is that they're going to come in, they're going to find a mess of a dressing room, and then they're going to try to fix it in whatever way that they can. They're going to ask for some transfers, but the way we know that this board works, they're not necessarily going to get them. And now it's just, it's just going to fall apart. The only viable person that I would kind of be okay with coming into America if Piojo was to leave is Vasco Aguirre. The only reason why is because not only does he understand what this institution means, because he played in America, he knows the expectations, right? He won that final with America against Chivas back in the 80s. And then, he's been in the league. He understands the league. He knows a little bit about it. So he's the one person that does make sense to me. But I don't see it. It's not his team. I just feel like he just wouldn't be so comfortable coming right away mid-season and trying to take over. But Christian, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that this is something that we should be discussing about? Or again, still early in the season, give Piojo the chance to kind of keep going along?
I mean, listen, we're not going to give it a Piojo mid-season. Unless we completely tank from here on forward and we don't win any more games and then we get destroyed in all the Clásicos. There's no way Piojo's leaving. That's just fact. Now, do we want to revisit this subject at the end of the season in December? Listen, I think I'm open to it. If things don't go our way, I know all of us kind of said, if it doesn't go our way this season, we'll give him until the end of the Clausura, and then if things don't go well there, then we'll get rid of him. Honestly, now the way I'm looking at it, that might be a little bit, expedited. This team does not showing any play style, any heart, any determination. Piojo doesn't know what the hell he's doing anymore. He needs to get his team rallied up, and we better see results starting this Saturday. And then, the pressure's getting to him, and I think he knows that. I think he knows that it's time to kind of start performing. I think we have a couple, games that are winnable for us coming up. So I think, we need to start regaining confidence. We're starting to get players back. We're starting to get Richard Sanchez back, Giovanni Dos Santos back, Benedetti's back. So maybe with these players, Diaz is starting to get a little bit more comfortable in Mexico now. I think, these are the players I think Piojo has to play with. And I think from there on, if, Piojo doesn't do well, we'll see what happens. But right now, mid-season, unless, like I said, we completely tank from here on forward, it's not going to happen. Come back to me in December. We'll talk.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Right, still a long season way to go. But now, like I mentioned, you look at the calendar, you open it up. What's next for America? And then you see Piojo. You have to get all of these points possible. You have a game against Atlético San Luis. You have to win that game. Then you go and you have a game against Mazatlán. Need to win that game. You go up against Puebla. Also need to win it. You go up against Toluca. That is a must win as well. And then you talk about that Clásico Nacional, and where are we at that point in the season? We'll have to wait and see, but you still would expect America to get all 3 points in that game. If it's a draw, then I think we can, go off of that. But then I think once you cross that Toluca line, you need to have all those wins under your belt, because then we mentioned how tough of the season it is ending it. So, I mean, we'll have to wait to figure it out. But I do think it's still early on in the season. And you look at how tight things are up right now in the table and over there in Liga MX. It's, 3 points separate a lot of teams. And I don't think we're so off of kind of finishing off in a very good, comfortable spot. But, I mean, we'll have to wait and find out. But, gentlemen, anything else to add on in regards to this America Monterrey game that was a disaster?
No, I'm good.
No, AJ,
No.
Christian.
Oh.
Alrighty then. Okay then. Well, thank you so much to everyone that's been tuning in so far. I just want to say thank you to all of our listeners over on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and wherever it is that you may listen to us. Thank you for that. Also, before we move on into our next segment, huge shout out to the Lady Aguilas who ended up winning their second game. More on that coming on later this week. We'll have all of that in-depth analysis and a preview of their upcoming match against Cholos. So if you don't want to miss that by any means necessary, so make sure you guys follow us over on Twitter, Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you follow us on wherever it is that you want to listen to our podcast. Alrighty, gentlemen, are we ready to move on? Whoa, yeah.
Ivan, can we talk about what we talked about last night, or just not yet?
Not yet. Whoa.
Oh,
Hey, this
okay.
that's big top secret news, my man. We
I'm
can't
so
just
sorry. Yeah. No, you're right.
especially in the mix of an America loss. No, we have to hold off on that.
Hold off to a victory, right?
All right. Okay. Yeah. Don't worry though. But you gave the people a bit of a preview there. We got some big news coming up for you guys. So make sure you guys, like I mentioned, follow us on all social media platforms. We got a big announcement for you guys coming up soon, and hopefully a little bit more whenever we do get that episode up and running. But okay, gentlemen, time to move on into the transfer saga that is this transfer window. Christian, you're the man to go to. Let me know everything going on in Las Águilas del América in regards to the transfer rumor, and talk to me about these potential rumors of a certain Lionel Messi coming to Las Águilas del América.
Okay, we'll start with the big one. So yes, Lionel Messi is rumored to leave Barcelona. And it seems like America are front runners to sign the Argentine. I think it'd be a great addition to our team. I think he provides goals,
everything really going forward. Like
goals and assists.
What more could you tell Messi? Like, you provide depth.
Yeah.
You provide depth, so that's why we're bringing.
That's why we're bringing you in. So look for an official announcement sometime this week regarding Lionel Messi. All right, so onto the more minor news. Obviously, unfortunately, due to the injury of Bruno Valdez, America is in the market to get a center back. Now, we were rumored to get another defensive player either way, with Bruno, still being in the starting lineup, just to add, I guess, that kind of depth we were looking for. But now, I guess, it's more important now, more viable that we are getting a player. So there's been a few names thrown around, so I'll kind of rank them from least probable to most likely, and then from there we'll just bring on a conversation if that's okay with all of you. So we'll start off with Saul Salcedo. This is a center back from Club Atletico Huracan. Paraguayan international. He's a very interesting option for me only because I saw him play a couple times in Libertadores and Sudamericana, and I think he's a very interesting player. I think he provides a lot of smart positioning and a lot of tackling, which I think something we haven't really seen much from America in our center backs in recent years. But only problem with this transfer is right now it's only been reported by one major outlet, and it was in Paraguay. No really Mexican outlets are picking it up. This name has not really been thrown around as much. So this is kind of one of the ones I'm kind of pushing to least probable. The next one, Nestor Araujo. Everyone, Nestor Araujo, Mexican international, played at the biggest levels. For me, it brings a lot of talent, brings a lot of experience. I think that's something that we need, kind of leadership type role. I would personally like this. If he came, I think this would be a great signing for America. There's only just two problems. One, he wants to stay in Europe right now. That's the key thing. Two, he wants to stay in Europe, but if the money's right, he'll come to America, and that leads to my number two. Number two, there really isn't money right now for Nestor Araujo to pay.
We used it up all on Messi.
Yeah, exactly. We used it up on Messi. We can't really pay the team, and he comes with a big salary, so that's why he's kind of on the least probable side. The next one, Hector Moreno. Again, I think he wouldn't be unwelcomed here. I think he'd be a great addition to our team. Once again, played at the highest levels, played at the biggest clubs in Europe. This is a player, again, provides experience, leadership, whatever you want. He has it. Again, another problem. His age is up there. I think this is something America kind of trying to stray away from. Also, his wages seemed a little bit too high for America right now. So this is something that probably won't happen. The next defender, Alan Franco. This is a player who I think America has been rumored for about a couple seasons now. This whole saga with this club is ongoing still. The reasons why people are locating him right now with America is because, um, ironically, their club has just sold Cecilio Dominguez to Austin FC, so that is bringing cash into Independiente right now, which then can be used to pay off the debt for America and then resume negotiations for Franco. There's only one problem with that now. They're playing hardball again. They're asking for a little bit too much now, even with the debt kind of being erased now with the money coming in for Cecilio. They're still playing hard to get. They still want a lot of money for Franco because they know he's such a big promise. There are multiple teams looking for him to trying to get the best bang for their buck for the player. This is something that I want to see happen. I think out of everyone that I'm gonna announce right now, this is the one I want to see come, a true center back who has a lot of promise. Very ranked highly by a lot of people. I think he could do well for America. The player has expressed his interest in coming to Mexico. He likes the idea. He wants to play for America. He's ready to take on that challenge and take the next step in his career. And America and him would fit perfectly. I think this would be a great fit. Unfortunately, though, he is not the front runner, as the next name I'm about to mention, Luis Fuentes, is the front runner to come to America. Reported by a lot of reliable sources that he is basically an America player, should be announced in the next couple of days. Luis Fuentes is coming back to America. This is a player who is very versatile, can play left back and center back. Something that I think we add as depth. That's number one. It kind of fills that center back position, even though I really don't agree with that, but we'll get that into a little bit more later. Can play a center back position if needed. So definitely an interesting player, only because we had him, then we let him go, and now he's coming back. We let him go due to contract issues. He wanted a certain wage, and we couldn't really meet it. So I think it was in the best interest of America to kind of let him go. Unfortunately, he has no club right now, but he has been training on the side, keeping fit just in case any opportunity arises. Said opportunity arises with Club America, and I think it works for both parties. I don't know. It's just Luis Fuentes, guys. What do you guys think?
Well, a lot of names being thrown out
a
there.
lot of names.
A lot of names.
I tried my best.
No, good job. I think we'll just kind of cut it off and say, look, Araujo and Moreno aren't coming. I think that's just a granted. That should be a given. They're not gonna come. America's not in any situation to be spilling out that kind of wages for anyone right now. So I think that's kind of a given. They're not gonna. I think the only viable options here are definitely, if you assume that Fuentes is, like they've mentioned already, kind of an America player given. So because of course he is kind of a free agent at the moment. So if you're still looking for someone after the Fuentes situation, then I think you're definitely looking at Franco or Saucedo, because obviously those wages would not be as high. I like you mentioned, Christian. For me, the man that America should be going for is Franco. I think he would add a lot of good internal competition as well, right? You bring in a very good young center back that potentially could even take Bruno Valdez's spot. So, could be very, very good business for America. But like you mentioned, Independiente, again, playing hardball to get. I don't know why, because it's only with America. Because I'll tell you this much: they were pitching about 4 to 5 million for Franco for the LA Galaxy. So, you would imagine that they would ask more money from the MLS team in regards to knowing that they can actually pay more.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to America, then everyone just kind of wants to skyrocket the prices there. But I would hope that Franco is the man to come. And Fuentes, in regards to Fuentes, the only thing he does bring is depth, and that is pretty much it. I don't think he brings that much more talent, and I don't think he, like you mentioned, and I think you mentioned it a lot on Twitter, I don't think he solves our problems at the back.
No, he doesn't. For me, I think he just, like you said, just brings depth. Listen, a lot of people were upset with the way he left, only because I think he had a very good start to America when he was playing. He came in as a rotational player. He was never meant to start for America. It's just stars aligned for him. He gave a couple good games, and they were great games. Kind of in some games, probably the best player for us. So I guess people just fell in love with that. And let's be honest, towards the end of that season, when they did conclude, he wasn't really the player he was at the beginning. He was making a lot of mistakes. A lot of goals were flowing in through his side. And I guess it was just in the best interest for everybody to kind of let him go. I think he's coming back. I applaud for America for going after someone But I think Ivan, and I don't know how the other two agree. We'll get their opinion in a minute, but I think it just should be Franco.
Yeah, no, for me it's Franco, Dylan, AJ, whoever wants to go first. But let me know
Oh.
who you guys' front runners are.
I'll go. I honestly would like to go with Fuentes, despite like what Chris said, he did like kind of concede some goals on his side as the left back position. But I think I feel like as well because I'm pretty sure that Jorge Santos was playing at that left back side at the, even though he's originally a right back when he came from Santos. Either way, I just feel like he was making constant mistakes, Jorge Santos, especially like from that final against Monterrey where he did concede a really crucial goal due to his mistake at defending. So I feel like when Fuentes was taking the spot, like Christian mentioned, he was just going to be a rotational player. But then when he actually started like to prove himself that we might have maybe, I guess a hidden gem in the case, despite him like being old at the age of 33, but I feel like he was proving himself something. It's like we might have actually found a player that can take this spot. But I feel like maybe it was his first time in America. I guess the second time for him coming back, if that is the case, I feel like he will just say that I could definitely take the center back position or left back if Wessel Reyes is going to be taken out. But I feel like maybe this time Fuentes can prove himself to be the player that America should be going for, and for him to just say, "I'll stay here for good." Plus, I just love his backflip celebrations when he scored goals. So like that also would be something I guess to look forward to for me for me to celebrate about just his own goals celebrations.
Okay, so we heard AJ's opinion. So Dylan, tell me about yours.
I mean, in all honesty, I've with Fuentes coming, and I hope we do get Franco, but I just feel like at the end of the day, if we just get one person, it'd just be Fuentes. I think we're still in the same boat that we were whenever we did have Bruno. I mean, if you don't have Bruno now, but you're gonna have Fuentes, you're gonna have Aguilera, and then you're gonna have Cáceres. I mean, you still don't have no depth there. I don't think that's the thing people are getting, which is why a lot of people were talking about Ortega, being at Toluca and not even getting any minutes so far this season. I mean, you lost a defender there who started the first two games of the Clausura last year against Tigres and I think Cholos, if I'm not mistaken. He kept a clean sheet and I think had pretty exceptional games. So, I mean, you lost depth there. And then you also, I don't think people are going to laugh at me when I say this, but, you have Carlos Vargas. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he's out on loan with Mazatlan. I think, you put him in the center back position and not in the left back position, he's going to thrive in that center back position. So you're still in the same boat if you get just one player. I'm hoping they get both Franco and Fuentes because that's a different story, I think. But if we're just going to stick with Fuentes and not able to get Franco, you're still in the same boat. Nothing really changes.
Yeah, nothing at all. But I think at this point, I don't think anyone expected an injury this severe on a player like Bruno Valdez. Which, by the way, if it hasn't been made clear already, he's going to be out for the rest of the season, and maybe a little bit of the start of the second one. So, of course, America, has to bring someone in so they can kind of, take his name down and put someone up there. So I think it'd be smart of them, like you mentioned, Dylan, to bring in two center backs because then you have an option to, apply depth. And I think it gives us the opportunity, like we mentioned earlier, AJ, to give us kind of that formation changing where you have this kind of ability to kind of play that five at the back because now you have a little bit more depth in that center back role. And we'll have to wait and see what America ends up doing. But, keep a close eye on our Twitter feed. We're going to let you guys know if anything changes. I think America needs to be smart about this. Obviously, that window is closing very, very soon in regards to when America can drop a name. I believe it's September 5th. Yes. So very, very close. So what are we talking about? Like a week? So America really needs to get business done in the next upcoming days. So hopefully, like we mentioned, it's not just Fuentes because we would be in the same boat, if not even worse. But we'll have to wait and see exactly what this board ends up doing. But in regards to that, I don't think any more transfer rumors or speculations have been going on and no real updates to talk about in Coapa. All we know is that Richard Sanchez is going to be back for this Atlético San Luis game. And, of course, Roger Martinez is going to be out. And he shouldn't be coming back until, like, the Mazatlan or Puebla game because he should definitely ride the bench because I don't think he deserves to be starting again in an America jersey. He has to earn that back. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. So anything else, Christian, to update us on?
For right now, that is it. But like you said, Ivan, keep looking at our Twitter page at Eagle Eye Podcast. I will have you guys with all the latest news and updates, and when any official announcement comes, we'll be there to update you guys.
Definitely keeping those fingers crossed that Messi arrives within the week. We'll have to wait and find out. But all right, gentlemen, let's move on into our last segment of today's show, and that is Atlético San Luis going up against America. This game is going to be played on Saturday, and it is a road game. Dylan, should that worry us? Because America just have not looked like themselves away from home or even away from Seoul at this point. So that's the sad thing. Should we be worried that America is going to come into this game and just kind of bottle it just yet again?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I kind of do. Look, I said it in whenever we were talking about the Monterrey game. Just the way the trend was going. I mean, that Monterrey game was supposed to be a game for America, to win. But obviously they blew it and they lost 3-1. And so in terms, I don't think this team really can turn it around, especially with the way they played after the adversity that they hit them. Obviously, Piojo can't kind of get really a good grip on this team to be like, hey, guys, wake the hell up. So I just kind of I'm preparing for the worst at this point. But I won't necessarily be surprised either if they come out and they play pretty good, I guess.
So it's literally it's up in the air at this point what America is going to come out and showcase. But what we do know is that America need all 3 points, Christian. I mean, do you think that Piojo is going to be able to kind of change these players' attitude and that we're going to be able to go and grab this game by, just right away, take the game to San Luis, get that early goal and just continue to thrash from there?
I think Piojo said it in the press conference after the Monterrey match. I think he said that, players who don't want to or don't look like they're determined or focused, they're not going to play. To me, I think that's the first step in this process of kind of going back to America, esque play style, X status. I think hopefully he brings out a whole completely different lineup, and we'll just go from there. But I think players that probably are riding the bench that deserve a chance. I think they're gonna get it on Saturday.
Well, then talk to me about that. Talk to me not about Piojo's starting 11 that you think he's gonna come out on Saturday, but the starting 11 America should play on Saturday.
It's okay. Well, we'll go with this. I mean, yeah, we'll go with this. We'll go with Choa Net, Jorge Sanchez, Emmanuel Aguilera, Sebastian Cáceres, Luis Reyes. In the midfield, you'll have Santi Cáceres and also Gonzalez. On one wing, Sergio Diaz. On the other wing, Leo Suarez. In the cam spot, Sebastián Córdoba. And up top, Federico Viñas.
So you don't bring back Richard into the lineup?
No, not yet.
No, I wouldn't either.
Not yet. He needs to learn. Same thing we did with Guido.
Same thing with Jorge Sanchez.
Same thing with Jorge Sanchez, which he needs to learn as well.
I think at this moment also brings a little more, especially whenever the guy gives you 2 assists so far this season, but then gets benched. I mean, I don't know.
Not even that though. But I think he provides a lot of defensive work which you need. Obviously everyone who has a brain can realize that America's weak spot is the defensive side. Now, also and Santi are both CDMs and they can provide a lot of filling in spaces when we need to. I think this could be good for America. Maybe something new. So yeah, I would like to see a 4-2-3-1, 100%.
Okay, I mean, completely agree with that. AJ, anything to tag on in regards to that formation? And if not, then tell me, how does America need to go from the get-go to get this 3 points?
With formation talk, I think I'm down with that formation as Christian mentioned with that lineup. I feel like that could be the lineup that could potentially turn these tough 2 games around completely. Maybe get ourselves to start some goals against Atlético San Luis that hasn't been doing the best this season. But I feel like with this lineup change, we could probably get something going. But then with this game, I think America just has to act as if go with that mindset that it's first game of the season. We're gonna try to do our very best and get ourselves these 3 points. Though the one thing that really does concern me, the Bruno Valdez injury that happened. We have to figure out who's going to be at that center back position. But what worries me the most is that Atlético San Luis has some of the deadliest offensive players I want to say maybe in this league by what I think. They have Mauro Quiroga. You have Nicolas Ibanez, and then you have this player that plays on the wing. You got Herman Beterame. Those guys can be really deadly, especially with knowing America's defense is a big problem. I feel like if we leave too wide of a gap, Quiroga, Beterame, and Ibanez are just gonna punish us completely and just score goals whenever the opportunity is given. So I'm honestly really just hoping. I'm kind of actually really worried about this game, to be honest. As like optimistic as like I am, have I been in this podcast? Just like after these two games, it's starting to really worry me about like whether America can actually get these 3 points against Atletico San Luis. I guess that insult to injury, we're just playing away, so it's just I'm kind of just worried as well.
Yeah, and I think we go back into what Christian was mentioning. Like whenever these kind of road games happen, America kind of ends up being in this fatigue mode. Dylan, do you think that's something that we should definitely worry about, or do you think that's kind of gonna be over in this game?
You want it to be over. I mean, they're professionals. I mean, I just kind of I hate to see that happen again, and I really hope not. But it should, like you said, I think it's a curiosity aspect of thinking that. But I want to say no. I feel like the team, can get it together and realize, the last time that happened, they're gonna get ran all over on the pitch.
Yeah, no, and that's definitely gonna be the case. So, I mean, we've mentioned about this kind of having respect for the rivals coming into this game and not really underestimating the opponent, because we exactly know what happens whenever any team, especially a team that is facing some hard times like Atletico San Luis is at this moment, they're going to put their best foot forward in this matchup, Christian. They're always going to come out and they're going to play their best to the T. How does America combat this with the lineup that you just gave us? Tactically speaking, Piojo, what does he need to do, and what do these players need to kind of fulfill on the pitch in order for America to walk away with all 3 points? Because at this point, a draw isn't even looked at as reasonable.
No, 100%. Well, with the lineup I put out and having Santi, and also I think finally having a stable midfield would be probably key to this match. We saw in the Monterrey game, the lack of Richard Sanchez and the inexperience of Emilio Sanchez kind of played a part in that match. I think Monterrey's midfield kind of had a day field with us. Santi Cáceres is only one player. Really, when it's one player against two, one player sometimes even against three, it's a little tall of a task for just one player to kind of control the mid and make something up, especially when the players in front of you aren't really doing much, and you have to consistently worry about the players in the back of you. So I think if we can establish a good midfield, and I think if Córdoba can get going in his creativity, and I think if our wingers can start producing a little bit more, I think we should be fine. But that's the thing that's scary though. What America's going to show up? I think Dylan says it time and time again. We never know what America's going to show up. What I put out seems like a great lineup. You have Leo Suarez, who's starting to kind of adapt better. Córdoba is Córdoba, and Sergio Diaz, for me at least, when he came on against Monterrey. If you want some sort of glimmer of positive, he seemed like he was very, into the game. He seemed like he wanted the ball a lot. He wanted to create something. Unfortunately, when your team's deflated and you really don't have much opportunity, much space to do stuff. You kind of get lost in that. But I think if you give him the start, if you give him time to kind of sit in the game, kind of adjust to whatever's going on, the situation, to the players around you, I think he can do well. The little glimpse I've seen from him are all positive. So I think it could be that difference maker that we need.
Well, let's see if he definitely is that difference maker alongside with Sebastián Córdoba. Two players that need to have themselves quite the game and a lot to ask for, yes. But when you're in an institution like America and you're wearing that jersey, you should know the responsibilities that come with it. Gentlemen, anything else to add on in regards to this preview?
Oh, good.
Alrighty then. Well, let's close this out with our predictions. And I'm throwing it to you first, AJ, because I'm curious to hear what you're going to say.
I got myself with America winning this game, going for 2-1. I'll go with. I would like Federico Viñas to score a brace in this match.
Well, let's see if Federico Viñas ends up hearing your cry for help in this one. Well, it's official, guys. AJ is off that hype train with America scoring 4+ goals each game. We'll have to wait and see what happens going forward. All right, Christian, give me your prediction.
3-1 America.
3-1 America. Well, then one falls off the horse, the other one gets on it. I see.
I feel like if Sergio Diaz does start, I feel like he's going to be a crucial part in this. And I just have some sort of feeling that he might be the difference maker.
Yeah, you're putting a lot of pressure on a guy that just got here
I
2
don't
weeks
care.
ago.
Listen,
Like, let him adjust to Mexico. Like, it takes like at least a month.
Every report said that in training he is, far best in the best shape of his life. He is playing out of his mind in training. It's just, there hasn't been much opportunity for him to kind of break into the starting 11. I think this is the perfect time. Let's see what happens.
Alrighty then. Well, Christian's being very adamant here with that scoreline prediction. Dylan, are you gonna be as adventurous with your prediction?
He wants to be.
Nah, it's gonna be a 1-1 draw.
Oh god!
Wow, the dagger to the heart to all Americanistas listening to right now, ladies and gentlemen. Cowboy Dan has predicted a 1-1 draw. Wow, if that is actually what happens, then we are gonna have quite the conversation come next week. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in regards to that. I'm gonna go with a very, very dull, very boring, very close 1-0 win for America. I think, like you mentioned, Christian, it's time to kind of change the face of all of this. And even if you have to struggle to get all 3 points, as long as you walk away with 3 points and then you kind of add and grow from that, I think that's a plus. And besides, if you're able to walk away with a clean sheet, I think that just motivates more the defense that really needs it at this point. So we'll have to wait and find out. Just one quick question, Christian. Do we know if George is 100% ready to go, come back on the pitch?
Well, he needs to take, I think, one more test to make sure he's completely negative. He is training still, but I think if he gets one more negative, I think he's good to go on Saturday.
All right.
It was asymptomatic, right?
He was asymptomatic, yes.
Okay, well, fingers crossed that George Sanchez is able to come back on the pitch, because I don't know if I can stand another game with Paul Aguilar on that right back.
That was just a just awful performance.
My bad, Christian. Continue.
No, that's all I had to say. Trust me, I don't want to talk more about Paul Aguilar.
My hot take: you think it's time for him to just hang up the boots? Think for him to time to call it quits, such how we say, you think he shouldn't wear an America jersey anymore? Think his time is up?
I don't know, but if you want a real hot take, Dylan, is Paul Aguilar the Gary Neville of America in this situation?
I think here's a hot take for you that you'll find Ivan and for everybody else. But I think Cordova was the best player on the pitch against Monterrey. But I'll leave it at that.
He ran the most. I'll tell you that much. I don't know if he was the best player on the pitch, but he just ran. And I think because
of course you say that, Ivan. Of course
it's good to see that he's running, but
I mean, if it wasn't Cordova,
nothing happened. He didn't create anything.
I mean, if it wasn't Cordova, it was Bruno Valdez, and he didn't even play the whole game. He left early, and
that says a lot.
That says a lot. Yeah,
it really does. A play that was not in there for after what was the 28-minute mark or so. So yeah, if a play like that gone for that long was the best player, and when he got injured, like you said, Ivan, I think that's a bunch of red flags. There's a problem there if that's the case. So
yeah, no, definitely. Well, I mean, you guys heard it here first. Paul Aguilar should retire. Paul Aguilar is the next Gary Neville for the world of football, and you heard what Cowboy Dan said. So quite the hot takes to end this show. But gentlemen, anything else to add on before we kind of wrap it up?
No, we're good.
Stay safe. Wear your mask.
Wear a mask.
Yes.
What time is the game on Saturday, Ivan?
Black Lives Matter.
That game is going to be at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern time. You guys can catch that game over on Twitter. And if you guys, for whatever reason, cannot catch that game, you guys can follow us over on Twitter, and we'll have you guys covered with everything in regards to that matchup. So you don't want to miss a beat of it. And hopefully, America walks away with all 3 points. Any other questions, comments, or concerns before? I know we have a lot of concerns, but how about any questions or comments?
America Femenil, when can the people expect?
So the people can expect the podcast to drop Thursday night, and they can expect the live show on Thursday itself. So you guys can catch that over 7 p.m. Pacific time, 9 Central, 10 Eastern. We're going to be talking all things Lady Aguilas. We're going to be talking about that great goal that was scored by who again? AJ, who? It was a great link up.
It was Celine Valera. That rocket, that backheel pass from Montserrat Hernandez and Celine Valera. I just screamed on the top of my lungs when I saw that goal. That game and that goal just made me way more happy than watching the men's team from America play.
So, it got a little bit scary though at the end.
Yes, very scary. And we'll get to that. We'll talk about that because I think these ladies deflated a little bit fatigue might have played a part, but we'll talk about that on Thursday. You guys can catch all of that. So make sure you guys do not miss a beat. And we'll catch you guys on Saturday. If not, we'll talk to you guys again on Tuesday. Like Christian said, wear a mask and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, subscribe to YouTube. Thank you to everyone that's watching. Thank you to everyone that's listening. Again, be safe, stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time. Until next time, take care. And as always, Arriba la America. Goodbye, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was another production of the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 source for all things Club America in English. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Eagle Eye Podcast and get all the latest news and coverage. And subscribe to our podcast wherever it is you may listen.